Often called one of the most family-friendly arts events in the city, the Jamaica Plain Open Studios is an annual celebration of the arts in Jamaica Plain that gives the public and artists an opportunity to connect, converse, and deal in artworks. Expect everything from paintings to photography, from ceramics to sculpture, from fiber arts to mixed media. Representing the event are two partners from JP's Stonybrook Fine Arts. Managing partner Ann Sasser, who teaches teen and adult classes, and Morris Norvin, a sculptor who creates people and animals from metal, stone, or clay. Welcome to Neighborhood Network News.
Thank you.
Great to be here. It's good to see you again, Ann, here. All right, maybe we should start by starting small and then expanding. Let's talk about Stonybrook Fine Arts. This is a school. I mean, if people don't know what it is, what is it?
Well, we offer teen and adult classes in all different forms of sculpture. We do welding, jewelry, foundry, all sorts of things that come together to form sculpture.
Now, you are a sculptor in all these different media. You have some monumental pieces, or, you know, at least life-size pieces. You work in a lot of media. What is the difference between working, say, in metal or in stone, or does it just grab you in different modes, or what?
Yeah, kind of. It's like that. Each material does different things. It's sort of as simple as the difference between a ballpoint pen and a crayon. You know, it's very hard to do the same thing with either tool. And with sculpture, it's the same. Clay is soft, moist, needs a lot of support. Steel is rigid and unforgiving and requires a lot of work to bend and shape. So that shapes the ideas in a lot of ways.
Are students that take classes in these things, it seems like sculpture is a media that's, you know, you have to really think about it, or people like to wrestle with steel or stone. I mean, you know.
Some materials really catch on to a person. We have process-oriented art, we have product-oriented art. Some people just enjoy the process, and whether it's working with one material until they've explored it to death, or whether it's jumping around through different materials and maybe exploring a common theme throughout. Everybody approaches these things differently. One of the stumbling blocks most people have to getting into art at a later age when they're not children in school is they feel a lot of pressure to compete against all the art they've ever seen in their lives. And if they can't make something, say, equal to a Rembrandt, then they must not be able to paint. If they can't make a sculpture the way Degas could, then they don't have any talent. And that's just not the case. I think anybody can get into this thing. Anybody can sculpt. We all have it. Our ancestors have been making things for thousands and thousands of years.
Well, you know, this is interesting that you say that you can take a process-oriented thing. You don't necessarily want to come home with, you know, a sculpture. But would you say that your school or your community space represents the JP feel or approach to the arts that the JP Open Studios is?
Yes.
You know, what makes JP a little bit different from maybe other parts of the city, at least from a JP point of view?
Well, I think in JP, what separates us from a lot of the open studios is that so much of what we do, it's very inviting, and it doesn't feel like you have to know everything there is to know about painting or sculpture to enjoy the artwork that's presented. And it just feels like it's a very welcoming environment. We're excited to have people come in who know nothing about what we do and explain to them the different processes, and they can explore that in a lot of the different studios in JP.
Morris, in an open studio, you have people who have never had any real contact with art. Is there any question that's too stupid or too intrusive? Like, how did you make that? You know, like, that's kind of a why.
Oh, I think a lot of that depends on the individual artist and how they respond to people. Some of us are more patient than others, and I don't mind any kind of question. I feel that you know, it gives me an opportunity to breach a subject with somebody and possibly create a new student out of it. So I'm fine with questions, and I don't think there's anything. There are questions we get repeatedly. How long did that take you to make? And just to be fair, I find myself asking other artists these same questions too. It's hard to not, because it's the way our curiosity works. But how long did that take? Do you sell these things? How much do you sell them for? Is there a market for this? Should my son or daughter pursue art as a career? And no, they shouldn't. But it is a good way to get things out of your system, even if you're not pursuing a professional career with it. It's just a way to exercise some demons. It's a way to explore thoughts and expressions and feelings you might have. Everybody watches cat videos on the internet.
Yeah.
A lot of my students come in and they want to make sculptures of their pets.
Yeah.
I think people relate to animals, and through art, it's a good way to have another kind of connection with not only the pets in your life, but the animals that are out there in the world, the life that surrounds us, the things that make the rest of the world go.
Well, your sculptures are very striking. Maybe we should talk about other people, Noah, but I've been asking you questions about there. Let's just say that we've established that JP Open Studios is very friendly, there's no stupid. How does one go about finding one's way? Where do you start? And, you can't see everybody, right? So how is this? I don't know if this is another stupid question that you get all the time.
No, not at all. It's a very good question. We have maps located in businesses all over Jamaica Plain. A lot of the businesses are actually sponsors, including Stonybrook Fine Arts. And so people can pick up maps. We also have a bus tour that goes from different place to place. The two general areas are the brewery complex, Sam Adams area, and we're located across from there, and Center Street. And then the other artists are all sort of in between.
All right, now how is it walkable, or realistically, how many places can you visit, especially if you're like a first-time one and you don't even really know what an open studio is, But I think people find it very friendly,
It is.
and sometimes the artists have snacks, which really helps fortify you from trudging from one place to another.
Well, the welcome booth is actually on Center Street.
Oh, okay, that's what I was going to say. Is that where you pick up the maps here?
Yes, you can pick up the maps there. It's right in front of JP Licks.
I see. So I take it these are the maps, and you also, I noticed, have a really great website where you have a sample of everybody's
Yes.
art, and you can go and say, I really like this picture, then you click on it and there's more information.
Exactly.
And then I guess all these things are listed on, so you write down, this Norvin guy, what number is he? And then you can go and visit it. But realistically, how many places, what do you think?
I think it depends on your stamina. Honestly, some elderly folks who have trouble walking long distance, or people who have had, say, recent back surgery like myself, we might not be able to walk a long ways, but there is a lot of visitor parking around JP, and if you need to drive to an area and then walk from there, that's totally possible to do. Again, there's a shuttle bus that goes around, and there's a lot of people matriculating through the neighborhood and involved in this whole affair. So you can certainly tag along with a group of folks who might be able to give you a lift.
Right, it's
a
a
very social thing.
I think if people have never been, they don't know that it's fun. It's really great for kids. I look at it like trick-or-treating.
Yes.
That you go in and the kids maybe are less inhibited about asking questions like, why did you make that out of that,
Very much
And they can ask you questions probably that you haven't heard before.
Oh no, it's great. I mean, I teach children as well, and it's a joy because they're so unrestrained in their curiosity. There's nothing that's out of bounds for a child to ask you, and I think they learn a lot. They absorb like little sponges, and any information you give them, they just take it and apply it to something. And I find with my students, they'll take any bit of instruction, and right away you can see their work change as a result of that. And it's very thrilling as a teacher to see that evolution happen.
So get through to the...
But just to answer your question a little bit about as far as what you can see, a lot of times they say you don't want to see how the sausage is made. But when it comes to art, I think That's the opposite. I think
Yeah, I
it's
do
very
think that's true.
beneficial to watch artists in the process of creating, to see not just the finished piece that is put out there, but also the struggles they go through, the failed pieces, the hits and misses, the give and take. It takes a lot to produce something that someone says, "Oh, my kid could do that." There's a lot that goes into that sometimes. So.
Exactly.
Now, that must be very flattering when they say that there. All right, so I noticed there were a lot of jewelers, and I mean, they make it very clear in your PR stuff that while you're perfectly welcome to come by and look and ask questions, the artists are there to sell things,
Well,
right?
it's,
right? No,
yes,
there's
it's
nothing
true.
wrong.
It's true.
So but it's not as if they're going to try and sell you everything. Certain things have to be done on commission, but there are things like jewelry that people often, I don't know, I'll call it a souvenir, but they like to collect things. Less expensive things. Like I imagine your polar bears and stuff are not that cheap.
Don't fit in a suitcase so easily. No.
Yes.
So, how should people feel about the money aspect, or what is the expectation of the artist?
Well, I think if you are walking around and there's something that really strikes you that is affordable for you, then it's something to go ahead and purchase. But it's okay to just look and enjoy the art. The artists won't get mad if you don't buy something. They would like you to, but obviously they're also there to show what they're doing, be a part of this exciting activity, and a lot of them are doing demonstrations. So it's an inviting environment.
And just to be clear, not all of the artists participating in JP Open Studios are presenting things for sale or items in that vein. I mean, some people may work for 2 or 3 years on a painting, and you'll get to come in and see what they're doing, what they're using for their resource material, for their inspiration, whether they have photographs taped up or something. It's more about trying to educate people about how the art is made. Through that process, of course, someone can really appreciate what an artist has done and be more motivated to buy something they made. But it's an educational experience where we open our doors to people who don't necessarily wander through artist studios or know artists or even know anything about how art is made, especially now because so much stuff is mass-produced in foreign countries and people are losing that tactile sense of making things themselves.
I think most people get their ideas of how art is made from the media, and not that I want to slam my profession, but it's very distorted. And it is true. I have a young nephew whose teachers have all said he has definite artistic ability. He's going to be an artist. Parents worry, or if your only idea of what a painter is, do you have to have a beret and a palette and, naked models on the stage, and that kind of stuff? That isn't necessarily.
Not at all, especially in the computer age. A lot of my students, even though they're studying sculpture with me, their big passion is with the electronic arts. They want to be designers, game designers predominantly, but they want to work in computers, and they're geared towards this type of manipulation of imagery, and there's going to be some amazing stuff that they'll be producing in the next generation.
All right. Well, our time, unfortunately, is run out, but people can pick these up everywhere. But you said on Center Street is the main
the
place to
welcome booth.
start?
Yes.
The welcome booth. What number is it on Center?
It's at JP Licks.
Oh, JP Lake.
Yes.
And we'll have some at 24 Porter Street as well
Exactly.
at the studio.
All right. And so what is the website folks should go to so they can see samples of everybody's work and see how things are related, all the stuff that they can get a hard copy later?
jpopenstudios.com.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you both
you
very
very
much
much.
for the school.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Take
It's
care.
been a pleasure.